We made it. BYU and Utah back together in a rivalry game for the first time since 2021, as conference mates in a rivalry matchup for the first time since 2010. And let's be real, this was supposed to be the circumstance for these two teams going into this matchup, albeit in reverse.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, resident BYU insider. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first view and or listen of the day, and obviously a big thank you to all of you who we like to call our everydayers right here on your original daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com today. Place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets, courtesy of our friends over at FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com to get started today. Yes, as you mentioned, I mentioned in the open of today's show, it's BYU and Utah back together in the Holy War rivalry game. Some suggestions out there, we should call it the Cold War after Jalen Glover called it that earlier this week. No matter how you refer to it, it is a big, big deal. This is a big game for BYU, obviously, because the Cougars are 8-0. They're ranked 9th in the country in the college football playoff rankings. They want to keep their magical season alive, and they do not want to see it fall by the wayside by getting upset by their arch rival. These are two teams who have a ton of pride in both of these programs. I know that Utah's down right now, and that doesn't have to be breaking news to anybody, I hope, is the fact that they're 4-4. They haven't won a football game in over a month at this point, and they're looking to get back into the win column and do it at BYU's expense. BYU knows what they're gunning for here. They are gunning for an incredible season. They are gunning for a chance to play in the inaugural college football playoff. They're gunning for a chance to play in the Big 12 championship game. They are gunning for a first undefeated regular season since 1984 for the BYU football program if they can pull it off. There is a lot going and riding on the line here for the BYU Cougars. And in my conversations with folks in and around the program this week, there is a sense of, we're going to handle our business. This obviously is a rivalry game, and you're going to hear from Viliami Pua, who actually grew up on the opposite side, speaking of being a Utah guy because of his dad, now BYU defensive tackles coach Sione Pua, who played for Utah. He'll explain in a little bit what his mindset is. Now he suits up for the Cougars wearing the blue and white. And then also Parker Kingston, a guy who grew up in the state and understands what this game is all about. You'll get to those conversations in just a moment. But the bigger thing about this for BYU is they cannot lose sight of the fact that they are having a massive, and I mean massive, target on them, especially in this game. Utah has got a lot of things going for them, in particular, their defense. By most metrics, they're either the first or second rated defense in all of the Big 12 Conference, despite sitting as a 4-4 football team. The biggest weakness Utah has, as we all, if you've been paying attention at all to the Utes, is their quarterback play and the offense overall. It is absolutely sputtered. It is stuck in neutral, if not reverse. They cannot get anything going offensively. And Mike Bajakian, who's taken over as the interim offensive coordinator, he's had 2 weeks now to get a new game plan installed for the Utes. I am expecting to see both quarterbacks that Utah has available playing this game, speaking of Isaac Wilson and Brandon Rose. Who starts doesn't matter to me. I don't think it really matters all that much, but I can tell you what BYU needs to focus in on this game is they need to shut down the rushing attack. You cannot allow Mekhi Bernard, Jalen Glover, Mikey Matthews, who else do they have at running back at Utah? They got a lot of different guys who've carried the ball this year for them. Mikey Mitchell, let's see, who else? Oh, Dijon Stanley as well. They have got a number of running backs, and if you allow them to get loose, they will make your life absolutely miserable. Mekhi Bernard has 130 carries, 782 yards. He's averaging a healthy 6 yards per carry. BYU cannot afford to let him break loose in this game. If Jay Hill, and trust me, I do not claim to speak for Jay Hill or try and influence his mindset because he is a far smarter football mind than I will ever be. But the whole goal I would have coming into this game is saying Utah will not run the football on us. We are going to force this game onto the arm of their quarterback or quarterbacks. And if they beat us, so be it. we will live with that if it comes to it. But you force this onto the arm of Utah's quarterbacks. And if you want an example of why you would do that, as I mentioned, Utah has run for a healthy number of 1,200 yards rushing as a team. It's a pretty healthy number. I know it's pretty deep in the season, but they're having a good rushing season. Quarterback-wise, though, combined across the three quarterbacks who have suited up for Utah, Isaac Wilson, Cam Rising, and Brandon Rose, their completion percentage, 53.9% on the year. This is not a high-level offense. It is not an offense that is going to strike fear into the heart of BYU players and their coaching staff. But at the same time, they have to understand that Utah's had 2 weeks to dream up something, hopefully, that can start generating more offense. Over their past 4 games and the 4 losses Utah has suffered, they have mustered an average of 12.5 points per game. Absolutely miserable numbers offensively. BYU wants to extend that. Now, conversely, can BYU's offense move the ball against this Utah defense? I believe they can. The simple fact of the matter is BYU has played high-level defenses already this season, and I think that the Cougars are brimming with confidence knowing that they have run the ball extremely effectively the past 2 games in particular against UCF and Oklahoma State. I think the Cougars, much like Utah, should come into this game thinking we're going to run it down their throat, and then we'll let Jake Retzlaff go over the top on play action and really strike fear into the heart of Utah. That's got to be the goal, I think, for BYU in this game. And if you have 2 teams that are hell-bent on running the ball on one another, it can be a very quick game. Now, it's an 8:15 kickoff, so I am all in favor of a rather quick game just because it's so late at night. But I look at this as it is a true rivalry game, but it has a different feel to me in this one. For the first time since 2006, Utah, speaking of BYU and Utah, for the first time since 2006, BYU is favored on Utah's home field. This is not a very common occurrence for BYU, especially in their recent history. They have to go into this game understanding that they, once again, have a massive target on their back, and Utah wants nothing more, absolutely nothing more than to re-energize their season, thrill their fans, and strike while they can and knock BYU from the ranks of the unbeatens. It is a dangerous setup for BYU to go into, but I also say this. My feeling is BYU's ready for the challenge. What do they need to avoid doing? Well, A, don't turn over the ball. Don't throw silly interceptions. Don't throw a pick 6 like you did. That was that very first play of that Las Vegas Bowl they played. There's also been a couple other rivalry games where you've thrown pick 6s, and that can really flip the momentum, especially at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Don't give the ball to Utah. Do not do that. Other thing, run the ball effectively. You may not run for 250 yards in this game. Heck, BYU may struggle to get to 200 yards rushing, but you got to have an effective rushing attack. LJ Martin, Hinkley Ropati, Sione Aimoa is supposed to be available for this game. I hope that they are up to the challenge, and more importantly, BYU's offensive line is ready for the challenge of what I believe is one of the best defensive lines in all of college football with the University of Utah. They've got to be able to have success against that. I also look at Jake Retzlaff. He's got to be on point with his passes. He's got to be in sync with guys like Darius Lasser and Chase Roberts. If BYU goes out there and plays their game and ignores all the hoopla, all of the nonsense, all of the trash talk, everything that's going on around this game, and they narrow in and get that laser focus on what their job is to do, I believe BYU can run away with a win in this game. And I don't say that lightly at all. I have been waffling on this all week long, and I talked about it on our crossover edition yesterday with JT Wister. So my score prediction, if you guys didn't hear it, I am going with the 1996 score that BYU had up at Rice-Eccles Stadium when they ran the ball all over the Utes in that magical season. 37-17. That is the score I believe BYU will get tomorrow night. I believe they will blow this one open. They'll win by 3 touchdowns, and they'll be on their way to 9-0 and really becoming a major factor when it comes to the college football playoff race, as they already are in the race, but I think they legitimize and even strengthen their hold on that with the win at Utah, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, so what is the, being on the field in this rivalry? And in the case of a guy who had a dad who was a star for the Utes, has now turned allegiances to BYU. Well, what is that all like? Well, you guys are going to hear from 2 guys who have key experience on this and are looking forward to their first opportunity to play against Utah in a rivalry game. We'll talk with Viliami Pua as well as Parker Kingston. We'll get to that momentarily right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is here for you guys to help you hire as a small business. When you're hiring for that small business, you want to find the quality professionals that are right for the role. And more importantly, that's why you guys need to check out LinkedIn Jobs. It has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn's not just a job board. It helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively looking for a new role but might be open to the perfect opportunity. The best part is in a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. If you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place, simply put. The best part is 86% of small businesses are getting a qualified candidate within 24 hours of their job posting on LinkedIn. Hire professionals and do it like a professional on LinkedIn. 2.5 million small businesses are using their LinkedIn for their hiring needs. So post your job for free today at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post that job for free. Of course, terms and conditions apply. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first view and or listen of the day. Appreciate all of you for being with us. Of course, here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, I had a chance earlier this week to catch up with two BYU football players who I think will have roles to play in this game. They may not be starring roles, but I hope that they have an opportunity to make an imprint on it. And the first one I want to start off with is with Vili Pua. He actually told me he likes to go by Vil. So Vili Pua, V-I-L, is a guy who grew up a Utah guy. Remember, Sione Pua, who's now BYU's defensive tackles coach, was an absolute star for the Utes. Went on to a very productive career in the NFL, then got into the coaching ranks, coached back at Utah for a few years before retiring, and then ultimately, after a year hiatus, joining the BYU staff. What does Vili Pua expect to experience now that he's on the other side of the rivalry from where he grew up? Well, good thing you asked. We're going to get to that conversation right now, right here on Locked On Cougars.
Now, it's a big week this week, obviously Utah week. Your dad was a legend at Utah. I know you were committed there before your mission and everything. Do you have any divided feelings on this week, or are you all in with the Cougars?
I'm all in with the Cougars. This is my family right here. I have utmost respect for them and their program, and I bet they're going to bring it their all, but so are we. I'm excited to meet them this Saturday.
How excited are you to play at Retzlaff Stadium? I'm sure you were there, you've watched games there and everything. How excited are you actually be on the field there playing?
This is probably the first time I've ever been like a player. Like before my mission, I always thought I'm gonna play here on this field.
Yeah.
But I didn't know I was gonna do it as a Cougar.
Okay.
But I'm pretty excited. This is my family now. This is my journey. And at the end of the day, they're just another team that we got to play as a brotherhood here. So yeah.
Now, I know you're a kid who grew up in the state, so the rivalry probably holds a little different feeling for you than maybe some of your teammates who are from out of state. Do you have friends up at Utah? You guys been talking back and forth about this one at all?
I definitely have some friends and people that I know up there, like Logan Fano. The Fano brothers, They're pretty cool. I played them in high school. Dallas Vakalahi, we're good buddies before the mission.
Yeah.
We went to mission prep together, and there's definitely more of the guys over there. Even the coaching staff, a lot of them have been to my first birthday party when I was born.
All right.
But yeah, those are the type of relationships I have up there.
Is it like when you guys talk, is it good natured, like back and forth? You banter back and forth about it?
Of course, it's family. It's family. But when it comes time to play the game, there's got to be a winner and a loser. And we both have the same goal.
Now, you guys are on a pretty good run here. You're 8-0, obviously. And I've talked with enough of your teammates, and you guys really, you're laser focused on the one game at a time. Utah's a little bit different feeling, obviously, because it's the rivalry. Does it have any added, I guess, motivation from the coaches being heaped upon you guys, or are they really saying, no, this focus here and now on this game?
You know what? They just constantly been saying, stay humble, stay hungry. If it's been working this whole year, no need to change it. But let this be another fire, just to get us to hone in on our craft to win.
Now they're in the middle of a slump here. They've lost 4 straight games. They're going to be potentially playing 1 of 2 quarterbacks. Does that change anything for you in terms of your preparation?
No. All I got to do is just watch film with Coach Pop, watch film with my dad, make sure I'm honing in on my technique, and nothing changes.
You got some established guys in front of you in the pecking order, like Tyler Batty, who's been here for quite a while. How big of a role have they played in helping you develop? Like
they've probably been the most help to me. Like they've been like the bigger brothers that I never had because I'm the eldest in my family. I just have the most love for them, and when they say for me to do something right, then I'm obviously going to do it right. I love them so much, and yeah, I just try to do what they say and just learn from them.
Now, when it comes to those guys also being in-state guys, have they talked to you a little bit about playing? You're like, Tyler's one of the few guys who's actually played in this game. It's 3 years ago at this point, the last time these two schools got together. Has he talked to you at all about that?
They just said it's a lot of fun. It's going to be loud, and there's going to be a lot of emotion in there. So just keep it calm, keep it composure, and just play the game.
What about cold weather? Are you ready for a cold weather game?
I've been in Utah all my life, and on the East Coast too, so I'm used to this cold weather.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm ready for it.
I guess this would be the first time this year you guys have had the colder weather. Is it that doesn't change much?
No,
just go out and play ball, right?
Oklahoma State was pretty cold.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But yeah, they got a lot of stuff on the sidelines to keep us warm. But yeah, we're ready. At the end of the game, at the end of the day, we're all excited. We're all busy trying to win.
I guess last thing for me, do you have like a memory of this rivalry that stands out more than others from watching it, etc.?
I just remember when my dad was coaching at Utah. We played here at Lavelle Edwards in 2021 where BYU won, and then I was wearing red. I was like, man, this sucks. I never want to lose to these guys again. But it's kind of cool to be on the opposite side to wear blue, and we're in their house now, and hopefully we get to come out victorious.
Well, I guess in theory, now that you're wearing blue, you have that opportunity to not lose, I guess.
Yeah.
There is Viliami Pua. The big thank you to him for taking the time. And it is kind of funny that he could be a guy after he watched the 2021 game, like he said, dressed up in red and white and black as a Utah fan, to be on the winning side once again, crazily enough. But looking forward to that. Now, another guy who I think is going to, play a role in this game. Parker Kingston has been a major impact guy for BYU. Remember, who can forget that punt return against Kansas State? Well, I sure couldn't, because I asked him as part of this conversation about that punt return. But more importantly, talked with Parker a lot about this rivalry, what it means to him as a guy who grew up in northern Utah, grew up in Layton, played for Roy High School, is an absolute star there. Well, what does he expect from this matchup? And was he on one side or the other of the rivalry growing up at all? Well, all that and more is covered right now with Parker Kingston.
Your kid grew up in this state, so rivalry this week. What does it mean to you to play in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. It's a crazy game. I mean, I was never a fan of either team growing up. I actually always wanted BYU to lose. So now being on like the other side, it's cool. And when I went to 2021, when I watched that game, it's surreal. So it's gonna be a fun experience.
Now we've talked with the coaches. I know K-Pop said that there were like 9 guys. I think he said that raised their hands that actually had played in that 2021 game. Yeah. So very few of the guys on the roster have played in it. Does that add anything or change anything about the dynamic of it?
I mean, not really. I think we're just trying to keep it as another game on the schedule, not try to blow it out of proportion. I mean, just do what we've done all year. And I think if we do that, we'll handle them and we'll get the win.
Like I said, you grew up here in Utah. Can you speak to just how big the rivalry is? I know that the fan element's one thing, but you guys as players, you grew up with guys playing in like 7-on-7 leagues. They're on the other side. How different is that for you guys?
It's like it's kind of like high school over again, kind of. You're playing all the guys you played in state. I mean, like Smith. I ran against Smith in high school. Like, it's just, all the guys, Fano. It's crazy. So it's gonna be fun.
Speaking of a guy like Smith, because he's a slot corner. You looking forward to being able to go one-on-one with him?
Yeah, I'm happy. I can't wait to go one-on-one with him.
And I guess the other thing is, do you talk with those guys at all into the lead up to this game, or do you say, hey, we'll talk afterwards?
Yeah. No, it's more afterwards. I mean, we'll talk during the season or say what's up, just how's it going. But it'll probably be more after the game, before the game. I don't know. It's going to be probably, I don't know. It's going to be crazy.
I can understand that. We were talking with Coach Roderick, and we asked him the question about, like, hey, you guys are ranked 9th in the initial rankings. Has it been a discussion? He says you guys haven't even discussed it at all. No. I know that you guys are aware of the rankings out there, but does it change anything for you guys knowing where you're actually placed in the playoff rankings?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it changes anything at all. We're not really worried about where we're ranked. We're just worried about the next opponent that we're playing, and whatever happens at the end of the season. So
that focus has been a kind of a hallmark of this team. Where does that come from?
I would say it started off in the off season, just focused on the task at hand, not worrying about the results, not attached to the results. And I think it's just carried on into the season. The coaches preach it, everybody preaches it, so I think we just focus on that.
Has it been difficult at points, though, to keep that focus on the game, or has it been a pretty easy thing for you?
I mean, it's never not hard. I mean, like, obviously it's hard to sometimes look, like if we win, like we're going to the big, like whatever. But I think it's like once you're in the game, you're focused, and every week you're really, like, you see your opponent, you're like, yeah, we got to go get them to get to where we want to be.
Is it a bit surreal to think that you guys are 8-0 and you're ranked in the top 10 in the country?
Yeah, it's cool, but like it's not what we want in the end of the season. So, I know that teams like this lay out goals ahead of the season. Was there ever talk about, hey, we can make a magical run here at all? I mean, yeah, every season there is. You have a goal. Like, we want to go undefeated. We want to go to the Big 12 championship, college football playoff. Like, we had all those goals, so now we just got to beat each team that are in the way of getting in the way of our goals.
Speaking of on the field, Are you happy with the role you've taken on? Kind of, you're a slot receiver, but you're also taking on a special teams, an outside role on special teams. Do you like the dynamics that you're able to add to this offense, I guess, special teams as well?
Yeah, I love it. I've always wanted to do punt returns. Then when I got the shot last year, I was super excited. So, I mean, it's terrifying. It was terrifying the first time I ever went out there, but it's fun. It's fun just being alone back there, right? You're the only guy, and you just want to go do your thing, get the ball in space. So it's been fun.
You say it's terrifying. Is it more like just the thought of the pressure of the moment? Is that?
Yeah, when I first, like my first time going out there last year, I was like, just don't drop it. Like I was so nervous. And
don't muff it.
Yeah, but now I go out there, I've caught so many balls, it's just secondhand nature to me. So
you're a pretty dynamic athlete. I want to take you back to that punt return against Kansas State. What was your mindset when that initially? It's like, oh crap! Like I muffed that.
Yeah.
What was your whole mindset on that whole thing?
I was just hoping that I got a good kick just right back into my hands. I mean, I'm used to fielding ground balls. I played baseball all growing up, so it was just popped right in my hands. And I turned around and guys were falling. I'm like, holy crap, this could actually happen.
You puked on the sideline.
Yeah.
How tired were you?
I was exhausted. I felt like I ran a 200-meter in high school.
Well, it's about what you ran in reality, and you were at top speed the entire time.
It was super tiring.
Did you have people continued to kind of bring up the fact that you threw up on the sideline on national TV since then?
Yeah, they've called me Parker Kingston. It's fans, they love it. The fans love it. So
I guess the last thing for me is you look forward to this game. Did you ever play at Rice Eccles?
No, this will be my first time. So
what do you understand about the dynamics of playing on the road in a rivalry of this magnitude?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything. I've never been a part of it, but I know it's going to be crazy. I know it's a rivalry game, so it's going to be even more juiced up. So, and a night game in the state of Utah, it's going to be crazy.
Is the excitement factor at like an all-time high for you, though?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It'll be fun.
There you go, Parker Kingston. A big thank you to him for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. And these conversations I have with these guys, I absolutely love having an opportunity to talk with them. And more importantly, I just want to give a shout out to the players, the coaches, and more importantly, BYU Sports Information, Kenny Cox, Brett Pine, those guys. They do a really good job of what they do, and appreciate them connecting me with these players. And it's really fun to kind of get their insight on stuff, because they're the ones ultimately that make the plays. We talk about it all the time. Coaches call the plays, players make the plays. And I know that the coaches get an unfair, credit and also blame, but players also share in that, because they ultimately have to make the plays out there that make winning plays. And it sounds like both Vili Pua as well as Parker Kingston, they're fully intent on being 9-0 come late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. And I, for one, cannot wait for this to go down. I love the rivalry. I know there's a lot of Cougar fans out there. It gives them angst, anxiety. It's not your favorite week. I get all that, but I really do enjoy it. I've enjoyed it my entire life. It probably comes from the fact that growing up, my best friend during my junior high and high school days, even up until my mission, we're still pretty close to this day, the dyed-in-the-wool Utah fan. Ben and I, we had some epic back and forth about BYU and Utah, and just the fact that we had a genuine friendship and we're just really, really close friends. I think that's why I enjoy the rivalry as much as I did, because I had a fairly overall positive experience in terms of the rivalry from an early age. And I know that's not typical for a lot of you out there, but I really do enjoy the rivalry, and looking forward to seeing how this game goes down. Now, before that happens, there is another game tonight. The BYU men's basketball team has their second game of the season at the Marriott Center. We'll get a quick look at what to expect from BYU when they take on UC Riverside, and we'll do that as we roll on right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Robinhood. Now, Robinhood is here for you guys to let you live the life of the one percenters. Of course, you don't need a silver spoon to eat the financial favors of the 1% with Robinhood Gold. It allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold currently the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth, and these generous benefits are available for only $5 a month. The new Gold Center is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold today. Terms apply for specific disclosures, Visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. But get started once again today at robinhood.com/gold. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Now, FanDuel is here for you guys to help you have some fun this NFL season. Get ready to tackle all the NFL action you can handle with FanDuel, as they are America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Simple as that. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place your live bets on the NFL all in one place. And more importantly, when you get the hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, you live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you're placing those bets, so you can always be right up to date and make sure you're making the right bet for you. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Simple as that. That's FanDuel.com to get started today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first view and or listen of the day. If you have not done so already, another shameless plug to join the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. Get the inside scoop of all things I'm hearing about BYU basketball and football coming to your phone in the form of a text message. The best part about the Insiders Group, you get a 14-day free trial to see if it's the right option for you, and just $5 a month afterwards. And once again, have one-on-one conversations via text message with myself and get those updates coming to your phone directly. All right, before we go on today's show, let's talk a little BYU basketball. The Cougars are back in action tonight on the hardwoods inside the Marriott Center. Absolutely smashed Central Arkansas in the opener, as we all expected. Now, BYU's overall non-conference slate, pretty weak. Let's just acknowledge a spade for a spade. The KenPom rating for our good friends at Central Arkansas, 333. There's like 360 teams. That shows you how far down Central Arkansas is. I'm talking about Division I teams. Tonight's opponent is a little bit better. Our good friends at UC Riverside rank at 166th in the KenPom rating. So a better team, but still not a world beater by any means. The biggest thing I want to see from BYU tonight is more of Egor Demin, more from Kanon Catchings, Mihailo Bošković. I saw that both Robbie McCombs and Garrett McClintock, who speak Russian and Eastern European, I think, did Robbie speak like Romanian? They were saying it's Bošković, but nonetheless, looking forward to seeing those guys do their thing. I also have hopes that guys like Fousseyni Traore, Dawson Baker, they have resurgent games. Baker was essentially a no-show in that game against Central Arkansas. 0 from the field, just one free throw made and 1 assist. This is a guy who's supposed to be maybe the second or third string point guard and facilitator for this BYU offense. You need more from Dawson Baker. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can have a bounce back effort out there. I want to see more of what Keba Keita can do. This BYU lineup is not going to be seriously challenged for a little bit here because, like I said, UC Riverside is not great, but they're the best of the bunch in terms of the early slate here for BYU in the non-conference. But I look at this as just yet another opportunity for Kevin Young to get another look at his lineup, maybe kind of narrow in on what he wants to do with regards to his ultimate rotation, because some of you out there have said, Jake, they should roll with a 12-man rotation. I think it's too unwieldy to roll with that big of a rotation come Big 12 play. There are going to be some guys who are probably going to be miffed with regards to their playing time as the season progresses. We've already seen that it looks like Brody Kozlowski is going to redshirt this year. I think it's the right move because there's just a log jam of minutes out there, and if he can work on his game and kind of hone his craft, that's the best spot for him, I think, at this point coming out of high school. There are other guys, like I said, Egor Demin. That kid's been playing professional basketball for multiple years now. Mihailo Bošković, exact same thing. They have pro experience. Let them kind of lead the way here. And I'm telling you, Egor Demin, he is worth the price of admission alone. If you can get to the Marriott Center at some point this season, do it. Because what I saw on Tuesday night and what I'm looking forward to seeing tonight is more of what could be a top 5 pick in next year's NBA draft. So as I often say, enjoy him while you have him in Provo, because it doesn't feel like, based on at least just one game sample size, Egor Demin is long for Provo. It's going to be maybe a 7-8 month stint for him in Provo, but it could be a really thrilling stint all the same. So no shade being cast at UC Riverside. They're a Big West team, so obviously there may be some familiarity with them being from Southern California, but there's just nothing really about this that screams to me BYU's in trouble in this matchup. Looking at it, Robbie McCombs did note that they were picked 4th out of 11 teams in the Big West, and also that they have their top 3 scorers returning from a season ago, and 4 of their 5 starters returning. So this is a better team, like I said, than the most of the non-conference games BYU is going to play, but it still feels like this is a 25, 30-point margin in the end. So we'll see how it all goes, and I'll have a postcast edition for you guys of the podcast, a shorter one after it goes final. But if you're out at the Marriott Center, I met, was it the exhibition game alone? I think I met between 5 and 7 of you guys out there. So, by the way, if you know where Media Row is at in the Marriott Center, it's up there on the main concourse area. I remember what portal it's in. If you know where it's at, stop on by. I'll be sitting there. I'd love to say hi, say what up. I always appreciate anybody who sees me out in the, what I call the wild, as it were, and says hi to me. It means the world to me. The fact you guys support this podcast as heavily as you guys have, I can tell you this football season, as you might expect, it's been absolutely marvelous with regards to how much support we have gotten. But looking forward to tonight. And if you see me out there, stop me, say hello. I'd love to catch up with you guys and at least say what up and have some quick small talk between quarter, before the game, whatever you guys want to do. So looking forward to it. That'll be a 7 o'clock tip-off, ESPN Plus, if you want to tune into that, if you can't make it out to the Marriott Center this evening. All right, that's going to do it for this Friday edition of the show. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. Like I said, I've been waffling all week long, feeling nervous about it, but I'm feeling less nervous. I'm thinking BYU is going to run away with this one against Utah. I could be absolutely dead wrong on that assessment, so we'll see what happens. We'll have a postcast for you guys. Probably end up be coming out early Sunday morning, but all the same, thank you for all of your support of the podcast. As always, you guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first view and or listen of the day. And as always, as we like to say, thank you for being everydayers with us right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.